Okay, so hello everyone. You guys know who I am, Rinda Emick. We're going to talk macros today, which is really exciting. I hope that you guys are just as excited. And I'm going to record this for the people who are in the group who can't jump on. But Heather, I'm not sure if you've broken down your macros, but if you haven't and you have all that information ready, then we can do yours live too. So, okay, macros help you fine-tune your goals, and that's key, especially when it comes to weight loss, right? Because you hear 70% fat, 20% protein, 10% carbs, or something of that, and you're like, what does that mean? What is 70% fat? Okay, so we want to break that down into grams so it can make sense. I use grams, you could use calories, but I think grams are just a little bit easier. So I like to break that down. So let's fine tune those, and we're going to break down some of yours who are on here. Heather, we'll probably start with you since Dee's in the restaurant right now, but we'll do that in just a minute. So, all right, so what I like to do is tell people to figure out your macros and then track them for just like 2 to 5 days. Don't get crazy with it. Don't track them for like 2 weeks. Once you track them for just a couple days, you're going to have a better understanding. Okay, if I have just, a little handful of almonds, this is about this. If I have, an ounce or two of cheese, this is about this as far as protein or carbs or fats. So just track them for a couple days. Don't get crazy with it. I don't track mine every day. I just eat to how I feel, and I know about how much I'm eating every day. So it's not something that you have to do very super consistently. I use FitnessPal. There are lots of trackers out there, so if you have a different one that you like to use, that's fantastic. I use the free version of FitnessPal, and I think it's fantastic because you can also go down to the bottom of the day and go to nutrition, and it breaks it down in grams, and it breaks it down in a pie chart, and it shows you if you're balanced or not. So I love that tracker. It works great for me. Again, that was FitnessPal. The way I tell people, so I can calculate out macros and do it all super detailed by hand, but what's an easy way for people to track or get their macros is a website called Keto Gains, and I love that website for people who are just kind of getting into this way of eating and lifestyle. I love that macro breakdown because it's super simple to use. And then the other website that I use and give out quite a bit is a Navy calculator website, and I will post links to those two websites. I'm also going to screen share when we're breaking down some macros right now, but those two websites I have felt like have been the most accurate, especially Keto Gains. Whenever I hand write out someone's macros and I go back and check on Keto Gains, they're very, very similar. The Navy calculator, along with any kind of measurement body fat calculator, it's always kind of off. It could be a little bit high, it could be a little bit low. It's just a little bit random. So I kind of take an average. If you find one that you think works best, then use that. But I will again share the one that I use as a go-to for people who are kind of newer getting into the keto lifestyle. So I'm going to screen share and show some examples of those, and then I'm going to go with Heather Almeida. Do you have that information ready? I think you're still. Let's see. I'm going to unmute you real fast. Maybe, if it works.
My weight and body fat and everything?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
right,
wait.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I have my body fat. Okay. My internet, I'm going to probably switch over to my phone because my internet's really not working well on my phone.
Yeah,
computer.
It's super choppy. So
but yeah, I have my height and my body fat and everything.
Okay, so you switch over your internet. I'm gonna screen share and walk through mine real fast, and then we can break yours down for everybody too. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and just meet you again, Heather. So when you're ready. Okay. So I'm gonna screen share with you guys real fast, just so you can kind of see. And this is so super easy. Okay. So can you see my screen? I can see your head. So just nod if you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see the website here? Yeah, okay. So this is Keto Gains website, and you go to the macro calculator. And there's some good information up there if you wanted to. So here's the body composition. You enter in your weight. My weight 159. Body fat is 30%, and I'm getting that from the scanner at the gym. So I'll show you the Navy calculator, but this is from actually getting on the machine that measures your body fat, lean body mass, and all that good stuff. So that's my current body fat percentage. So it's telling me my lean body mass is 111 pounds. So that's obviously bones, muscle, tissue, organs, that kind of stuff. And then you have your basal metabolic rate. So that's telling me 1,460 calories. So that's saying at rest, I would burn 1,460 calories just if I did nothing. That's kind of just the bare minimum of what my body would need to run. Okay. So, that's kind of just a basic number. If you scroll down, this is where you enter your activity level. Okay. So, I entered moderately. This says walking consistently in a fast-paced environment, waiting tables. So I'm doing that just because I'm pretty active. I go to the gym, do hot yoga a couple days a week, lift weights. So I'm going to use moderately. You can obviously choose whatever's best for you. So that's giving me a total of, for what I chose, because see, if I change to sedentary, then all of a sudden it gives me 1606. So that's adding my BMR right here plus my activity level. So it's adding in a little bit extra calories for what I'm doing throughout the day. So I'm going to say moderately active. It puts me at 2,024 calories for the day. Okay. So that's the total expenditure of calories. So then if you keep scrolling down, you have your goals. So if you want to lose fat, maintain, or gain muscle, it's going to give you a different calorie deficit. So for me, I put lose fat, right? If you wanted to maintain, it wouldn't have anything. If you wanted to gain, it would obviously give you a surplus. So I'm still looking to lose fat. So I'm going to say 25% of my calorie deficit. But here's the deal. Don't go too much higher than 25%. I would say kind of keep this at this range, or you can even take it down a little bit, if you wanted to. So 25% I think is pretty good. I would just leave it there, not mess with it too much. So it's telling me now if I want to lose fat, right? Now this would be 2,000 calories, 2,024 calories would be what I would need to maintain. That's a maintenance amount of calories with how active I am and with just my body's daily expenditure of calories, okay? So if I wanted to lose, then I'm going to go down to 25% deficit, and it puts me at 1,518. So 1,518 calories a day, okay? That's to lose fat. And then we can scroll down here. I don't put anything in this because I just think it overcomplicates things. If you feel like you want to go through this with adding in your daily exercise and all that good stuff, I think if I just put moderately and to lose fat, it gives me plenty good information. So I kind of skip over that section. So this now it gives me a daily macro breakdown, all right? So you can adjust your protein. Now here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest that you leave it at 0.8, okay? Because you don't need much more than that. So it's telling you to maintain muscle, leave protein ratios between 0.69 to 0.8. It's not recommended to drop below 0.69 or muscle loss may occur. And to gain muscle, the protein ratio should be between 0.8 and 1.2. And here's where they get real technical, and there's a bunch of good resources if you want to click on here. So if you're novice level, okay, or like a trainee, then they're saying there's really no point to go consume more than 0.82 grams of protein per lean muscle mass. So we're not really in this particular category. So I would say just everybody who's on this particular Zoom, are totally good to stay in the 0.8 range. That's not too much, it's not too little. So I think that's a really good place. It's not going to you're not going to have muscle loss. It's not going to be too much protein for you. So I think that's a really good spot. it automatically defaults to 0.8. And again, you can change that, but I recommend just staying there. All right. So let's see. So then down here are my macros. So this is what it has calculated for me. It has at 0.8, so remember my lean muscle mass was 111 pounds of lean muscle. So this is 0.8 grams per times 111, and that's going to give me 89 grams of protein. Okay. Now my carbs, this is calculating net carbs. So again, net carbs are only for stuff like avocado, leafy greens. That's not for a fiber bar that has 25 carbs and you're deducting 12 for the fiber, all right? So leafy greens, so net carbs would be 25. If you're calculating total carbs, which I like to stay more in the total carbs zone, and that's 50 or under. If you are not active, if you are zero active, then you should stay between 20 and 30 total carbs, not net, total carbs, okay? Again, net carbs are total carbs minus fiber. So you're subtracting fiber from the total carbs. So that puts me at, so 25 total or net carbs and 118 grams of fat, okay? So 118 grams of fat, 25 net carbs, and 89 grams of protein. And if you want to go over calories, then it gives you the breakdown in calories over here. Okay, and then it drops down to the total. So see, there's my total again, 15, 18. So protein calories, 356, carb calories, 100, fat calories, 1,062. So again, I prefer grams. If you like to calculate out calories, there you go. The way you get that number is by timesing the grams times 4. That's how many calories there are per gram. And so you're going to get 356. So again, 25 grams of carbs times 4 is going to give you 100 calories, and etc. So I personally like to just count grams because I can look at the back of a package of anything and I can easily see, okay, there is, 20 grams of protein in here, 3 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat. So it's really simple to break down in grams. Okay, so let's, so again, I'm going to give you this website in our group so that you can easily find out, everybody can easily find out their own macros. The next thing is body fat. So if you don't know, remember, I know my body fat from measuring at the gym, and I've been doing that consistently weekly. So if you don't have that, here is a great visual. If you click on the top of right here, body composition, it says how to visually estimate body fat percentage. So that'll bring you to this page. Now this will give you a bunch of good information on body fat, but it also gives you a visual chart. And I think this is pretty helpful too. Remember, us women, we carry more in our hips, our butt, and our thighs, all right? So even though it looks like everyone kind of has some flat tummies, remember, we carry more in hips and butt and thighs. So when you're looking at this, if I'm 30%, this is fairly accurate. I mean, I would say I probably have a little more chunk on my arms than her, and maybe a little bit more on my tummy, but not a whole lot more. So this is fairly accurate for my 30%. So look at this chart and you can kind of compare the number that you get on the Navy calculator to this visual percentage. And I think that that's pretty helpful too. It also gives you a good breakdown if you wanted to read through this whole page. And then there's also one for men. So for the guys, kind of gives you a good breakdown so you can get a visual of yours as well. All right. Now the Navy calculator is going to look like this. Very simple. Gender, weight, height, okay, and so on. So if I were to put mine in here, 159, 5, 7, 30, 42, 13. That is mine. These are my measurements, 30, 42, and 13. So it's waist at the narrowest, hips at the widest, and neck at the narrowest. That gives me a 32% body fat. So see, in the gym, on a much more accurate machine, I'm measuring at 30%. And this is measuring me at 32. So it's 2% higher, not a crazy difference by any means. And then again, if I took that 32% and I went to my visual calculator, that puts me right here in this category. And I'm definitely in that category. So it's somewhat accurate. I've calculated out some that I felt like were really high, like 5 to 10% high. So go between the visual calculator and this calculator and see what you get for your numbers. That way you can get the most accurate as you can, and unless you have somebody testing your body fat at the gym or machine or something that you can do it on, okay? But I will say home scales that test body fat are usually very inaccurate, and sorry to say that. And there's those little machines that you just put in your hand and hold them out, and those are pretty inaccurate. So the skin test, sometimes the trainers can do those. That would probably be a little bit more accurate, and obviously the measuring and that kind of thing. So, all right. So I'm going to calculate out Heather Almeida. Are you able to unmute?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully you can hear me.
So do you already have your body fat, or do you want us to run through that real fast just to double check?
So I have it, but maybe we want to double check it.
Sure.
Because I have a scale.
Okay.
That does it.
See what we get. So you're female.
Yeah.
So
female, 153, 5'3".
Dang, you're that much shorter than me.
Yeah.
Okay, waist.
Oh, I don't have those. Oh, I didn't realize I need those.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, let's try. That's okay. We can do a different one. Let's try the visual. Look at the visual. What are you thinking for the visual?
The 30 to 34%.
This one? Okay.
Yeah.
So
the number that I have is 31.3.
Okay.
For my body fat.
So that's probably pretty accurate. So you're figuring about here. Okay, so you have 31.3. So let's just go with 31. All right. So you're 153, correct?
3. Yeah.
And 31. Okay. So it puts you at about 105 pounds of lean mass. And lean mass is important because it's the way you're going to calculate proteins. And I know that's a little bit more in depth, but the other reason why it's so important is because when you see, okay, my lean mass is 105, so that puts me at 50 or 47 pounds of fat, of body fat. Okay, so everybody needs body fat. You're never going to have 20 or 10 pounds of body fat. Everybody needs a good amount of that. All right, so then we're going to put your basal metabolic rate. Remember, if you were doing nothing throughout the day, so nothing, just at rest, your mind, your organs, your body needs about 1,400 calories a day just to maintain healthy function, cognitive function, all of that, okay?
Okay.
So so that's a good number to remember. And I always keep this number in mind because of the fact, like if I'm not doing anything, if I have a few days where I'm not doing much, then I might consider okay, I can, drop down my intake a little bit. So, all right, what do you say for activity level?
I'd say moderate.
Okay, so moderate. Now that puts you at 1945. This is just a maintenance, remember. So about 1945 calories if you were, in perfect shape for how you feel, how you wanted to just maintain that and you felt good. But I think you're wanting to lose fat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to go with a deficit of 25%, or do you want less or higher?
I'll do just the 25%.
Okay, I'd stick with that. All right, so here's where we're at. We're at 1459. So this is what we want to, this is our goal. So now we want to see it broken down in macros. This is our caloric goal, okay? Daily calories. So if we go down here, we're going to keep it at 0.8. So your protein comes in at 84 grams. Your carbs, this is net, remember, come in, and I'm going to take a picture of this for you real fast. Your carbs come in at 25, and then your fat comes in at 114.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not sure how close you've been getting to that, but it's
actually pretty close. I'm looking at because I wrote down my percentages. I've been doing my calories at 1426, so a little bit lower than I need. But the percentages are pretty close too.
And if you're doing 1426 and you're feeling really good, then you're fine. So remember, and again, I cannot stress enough that protein is your must. You have to get in protein. You don't want your body to start to break down your lean tissues, your lean muscle mass. You don't want it to start breaking it down because it absolutely needs protein every day to function.
Yeah.
So you don't want to come in every day at 60 grams of protein. That's not healthy. So, if you come in every day at 90 grams of protein, you'll be okay. But if you can stick to 85, 84, 80 to 90 is going to be a really good range.
Okay, cool.
That is your must. You've got to get that in. That's super duper important. That's your primary focus. Your carbs are a limit. So meaning you can go anywhere from 0 to 25 net, 50 if it's total. But 0 to 25 net carbs is going to be your limit. You don't want to go over that. You don't want to step into the zone of 60 grams or now that we're moving into full keto. Okay. So you don't want to step over that. You really want to say, this is my limit. If I'm still hungry, this is my lever. Fat is where I'm going to pull in more calories if I need them. And fat is where I'm going to take away calories if I'm not hungry. So if you can get in somewhere close to 114, if you're feeling fully satisfied and you only get in 90, then that's totally okay. If you're feeling like you are not as active, you can get in less fat calories. It's your lever. So fat is your lever. You can swing a little bit over. You can go much less. You're still on even if you did 80 grams of fat compared to the normal diet that people eat, which is usually a high carb diet, you're still in a high fat, low carb, moderate protein diet. So you're still in a ketogenic diet. So remember, this is a lever. So if you come in at 100 grams a day and you're feeling fantastic, then by all means stick to that. Okay. The other thing is sometimes people think that this is just a fat diet. So all of a sudden they don't even realize that they're just adding in the bacon and they're adding in the cheese and they're adding in the sour cream and they're adding in these really fatty things, and they're all of a sudden getting to 150 grams of fat and going, why am I not losing weight? So you have to remember that your body's only going to be able to use so much of what you're putting into it. And we want our bodies to be so efficient that metabolically, when we take in this is called a caloric intake, is what the calories from the food that you're ingesting every day. You want it to be so efficient that where you put in that amount of food into your body, and beyond that for your exercise or if you're more active, whatever else it needs, it takes from the stored fat in your body. So as long as you're telling it, I'm going to feed you the right amount of protein, I'm going to give you maybe a little bit of carbs, but I'm going to give you a good amount of fat. You're telling it, I'm going to feed you this, then it's going to be efficient at pulling from stored fat if it needs more throughout the day.
Okay.
This is putting you in a deficit too, remember, because if it was a maintenance, this would be a little bit higher. Your protein would be the same, your carbs would be the same, but guess what? Your fat would be much higher. So I'm going to show you guys that real fast, okay? So if we just said we wanted to maintain, she would be at the 1945 still, okay? But check down here on her macros. She would still have the same amount of protein, the same amount of carbs, but check it out, like 50-something grams more of fat, okay?
It's
so
10 o'clock.
These numbers are going to pretty much stay the same. This is the lever. This is where we play around with, all right?
Oh, that's good to know.
So, all right. So this is going to be good for everybody to do on their own. I'm going to kind of rush through another one real fast if Dee's available, or if anybody else wants to do their math.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Dee, are you on? Okay. All right. So Heather.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Thanks, Heather, for sharing yours with us. I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. I'm going to jump on to Dee. Okay, so she's female. She is 177 pounds. She is 5'7". Her waist is 40, and her hips are 42, and her neck is 14.5. This calculator does not let you do 0.5. All right, so this puts her at about 44%, it readjusted. Let me press enter. Okay, so this puts her at about 42% body fat. Now, Dee, let's jump over to this, okay? Do you feel that that's accurate about, oops, didn't mean to zoom in on that. On this visual picture about in here?
Yeah, the 45 to 44. Yeah, that's about where I'm at.
45 to 44?
Yeah.
Okay. So this put you at 42. So again, and you can look a lot different. You could have a different shape, but this is kind of showing you. Okay, so we're going to go with about 42. All right, so we're going to start with D now. So D was 177. Oh, something changed on me. I think maybe I zoomed. There we go. Okay, so D's 177. We're going to put her at 42% body fat. All right. That's telling me that she's about 102 pounds of lean body mass, okay? So her BMR, so here's the thing. Now I want you guys to notice this because Heather's was slightly different. Her body fat was about 10% less. So her BMR was higher, meaning Heather Almeida, even though she's smaller, has more calories per day that she needs because she has more muscle mass. Remember, muscle takes a lot more energy than fat does, okay? So D has a less caloric intake for her just basic metabolic rate, meaning that's just the bare minimum of what she needs. Hers is 1376. All right, so D, did you want to go with sedentary or lightly active?
Sedentary.
Okay. So we're going to go with that. So it puts her at about 1514. So 1514 calories, all right? And she does want to lose fat. So we're going to put her at lose fat, 25% calorie deficit, sorry. Okay, and then, so she's now at 1136. Now, isn't that so interesting because she's, her weight is a little heavier than Heather Almeida, her body fat's a little bit higher, so you would think, I'm bigger, I need more calories, but that's not the case, all right? So for her to lose weight and be in a caloric deficit, she's gonna be at about 1136. So let's break down those macros. So again, 0.8% protein. This puts her at 82 grams of protein, net carbs 25, and fat 79. Now, I don't know how close you've been getting to that, D, and you might be surprised if you're not even getting in that sometimes. If you calculate out your macros, and you might be way lower on your protein, way lower on your fat than you should be, and this is for losing fat. So again, remember, this is putting her in less amount of calories than what she needs. So this is good. All right, so D, I took a picture of that. I'll send it to you, okay?
Thank you. Can you do me a favor, Linda? Can you go over that number again? Because I use my fitness pal, and it's going to be at 1,200 calories per day, 60 grams of protein, 20 grams or 15 grams of carbs, and like 100 grams of fat.
Okay. So remember, the first thing is we have a higher percentage of protein, okay, which you need. Remember, this is based off your lean body mass. So
okay, it's lean. Okay.
Yes, so this is based off your lean body mass. Now remember, if you're just putting it into your your Fitness Pal and you're just putting in your weight, or if you just have a program that doesn't calculate for your body fat percentage, then I can almost, body fat percentage has a pretty big importance to calculating your macros, because you need to know how much lean body mass you have. Now, obviously that number, it's not completely accurate, but it's pretty close and it's a good average for what you're going to need. So Dee, you are probably really lacking in protein, and so you probably need to up that. And for your carbs, if you are sedentary, you can have less than 25 grams of carbs, but that's okay. If you have 10 grams of carbs and it's all good veggie carbs, so be it. Don't stress on that number too much. Just don't go over. Now, fat, it sounds like what they've given you is more fat, less protein. But we want to make sure you're keeping your lean body mass. It doesn't know how much lean muscle mass you have. So this is based off of how much lean muscle mass you have. I would go with this. I would make sure I'm getting in that amount of protein, because I want to keep my muscle. My muscle burns more calories per day. It helps burn fat. It's so much more productive in the body. I would keep my lean muscle mass and lose the fat.
Okay, works for me.
Okay. All right. So let me just, I'm going to stop sharing this now. Okay. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. Real fast, we can do a quick Q&A if you have any questions, but should be pretty simple. If you need help breaking down your macros, we will love to help you, but I'm going to post these 2 websites in our group as well. And, you know, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is, yes, this is a higher fat diet, but it doesn't mean that your diet is all fat, okay? Like I keep telling you, protein is the most important first to get in. If you're not getting in that, and that's why it's important to track for a couple days so you can see, oh my goodness, I need 80 grams of protein, but I'm only getting in 50 a day. Like, your body will start to eat your lean mass. You have to have the protein, okay? So this is not an extreme, all I eat is fat diet, all right? So don't mistake that. Now that we have been in for 21 days, we are going to go full force with following a stricter amount of macros so that you can fine tune for your goals that you want to achieve, weight loss, fat loss. You know, nobody is really here to maintain. Or if it's to gain muscle, then you're going to do something a little bit different. All right. So if you have a question, just go ahead and unmute if it's on macros. And then other than that, I will put this recording up in our group and post those websites. And I want everybody to break down their macros and post your macros in our group so we can all share what that looks like. But does anybody have any questions before we jump off?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so because I'm a week and a half behind, I started a week and a half later, should I be waiting until my 21 days to start my macros, or should I just start now? Or?
You can do it now and just have a good idea. I would just stay on track with the group. But the biggest thing is the 21 days is helping your body reset to get used to eating this way, to get used to dropping the carbs, to switch your metabolic systems, the way that your body functions metabolically. So I would just say kind of stick with the group now. You know, it's okay if some people are a little bit behind, that's fine. But just go in and calculate it, figure out what they are, that way you know, and then track them. You know, if you're feeling a little bit off or hungry, then we can talk about adjusting some stuff here and there. But I would definitely just stick with us.
Okay.
So, okie doke. All right. Well, anybody else have questions? You're welcome. Okay. I'm going to end the recording, and then I will get this posted. All right, guys. Thanks for being on.
Bye.
Bye.